Jerk Routes Football. Smash that like button. Welcome to Jerk Routes. Today we're going to look at the route called the curl. Now the curl can be effective for many different reasons. One reason the curl can be effective is because the coverage dictates that the curl will be effective. Another reason, though, that the curl can be effective is because of outright fear. Maybe if fear is not the preferred nomenclature, maybe respect is a better term for it. In this particular instance, we're using the Miami Dolphins specifically because of the presence of Tyreek Hill. You'll see this formation from an overhead shot. You'll see a 21 formation for the Dolphins. Remember, that's 2 running backs, that's 1 tight end. You saw live, this is the instant replay, but in the live play, you saw Jalen Waddle go into motion from the left side of the formation to the right. We use that specifically because that tells us whether it's man coverage or whether it is a zone coverage defense. The Jets are in a 4-3 defense. However, they've walked one of their safeties up. The strong safety is actually walked up on the right, and that's creating an 8-man box. So you see 4 down linemen. You also see 3 linebackers, and then a safety who's usually a little bit bigger defensive back has joined the box to take away running plays and short passing plays. We know it's man coverage, though, because when Waddle went in motion, the corner who was over on the left followed him over. Now I'm going to play this in full speed from the overhead view, but I want you to focus on number 10 to the left. That's Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill happens to be at least among the fastest, if not the fastest player in the NFL today. And so I'm going to show you what this looks like. You see Tyreek drive his route. See him drive to about 12 or 13 yards, and then he just curls back around and presents a target for the quarterback. Now this ball's out just a smidge late. You'd like to see it thrown just a second earlier, but the timing is fine to complete the play. All right, I'm going to take you down to Tyreek himself. Now, the defense is in a man scheme, so they're showing man. The defensive back, the cornerback, in this case is DJ Reed. And I didn't choose the Jets. I chose a random defense, and this just happens to be what came up. A random 4-3 defense, and it was the New York Jets. But this is DJ Reed. DJ Reed is a very good corner. He's accomplished in the NFL. He is not quite as accomplished as his partner on the other side, Sauce Gardner, but he's an extremely effective corner. And you'll see that he's actually playing off of Tyreek Hill. He could be right in Tyreek's face. He could be lined up just on the other side of the 30 to press and do press man, but he's not. He's in somewhat of a bail coverage. It just so happens that a bail coverage is a great coverage for the curl to be effective. So in this particular case, this curl is effective because of the coverage. It's also effective because of the speed and the bind that Tyreek Hill puts the defensive back in. And by the bind, I mean when Tyreek Hill comes off the line of scrimmage, he's building up speed and he's selling to the defense that he's going to go deep and then he's going to make a cut somewhere else. And so you see he actually waits until the defensive back turns his hips, right? So defensive back's in a back pedal and then he turns his hips. The second he turns his hips, right, it's over at that point. The reason he has to turn his hips is because he is afraid, or he's respecting the idea that Tyreek might run past him with that speed. Right, so let's see it from this angle here. Tyreek comes up the field. As soon as he turns his hips, he's going to bail out. Tyreek's just going to stop, turn around. That's the curl. And that's the game that you see in an NFL football game, because they will run, the Miami Dolphins will run Tyreek Hill on a number of different routes. They will run him on that curl. They will run the same thing. It looks exactly the same. And then right here, he'll cut inside. That's the end or the dig. They'll run the same thing. And right here, he'll cut outside. In this particular case, though, the defensive back has a little bit of leverage to the outside. Not a lot. That's probably because he has a safety. He has safety help on the inside. Take a look back here and see what the safety did. Yeah, so he's got a deep middle safety. All of that deep middle safety looks like he was influenced on the other side by Waddle and also by the tight end going up the seam and then to the corner out. See it here, though, with Tyreek. You can see just as the defensive back turns his hips to prevent him from going past him, that's the point where he breaks back. That's the point where he breaks back to the football. You want to come slightly back to the football and help your quarterback out. This play starts on the 30-yard line. The ball's completed inside the 20-yard line. So this is a play that you can gain 12, 15 yards. And then there's always the chance, he doesn't do it here, but there's always the chance that a guy like Tyreek Hill breaks the angle and ends up going up the field. And if that happened, if he had broken that angle, this safety was going to have a hard time getting over to affect it. He probably can cut it back inside and do something with it. In this case, he doesn't. He's unable to break the tackle, but it doesn't matter. He's already got a 13-yard completion right there. He's able to move it up a little bit to 15, about 15 yards, probably a first down depending on the down and distance. So that's the curl. The curl is a complementary route. Complementary in that there are other routes that set it up. The streak sets it up. The post sets it up. The dig sets it up. The out sets it up. And then the curl itself, sometimes also called the comeback, although that's to the other side, but it's the same basic concept. You'll notice here too, some of the complementary routes also might have been open. Probably not the fly route, not the over the top go route is probably not open here because the cornerback does bail and he does turn his hips and he does start to run up the field. So it's unlikely that anyone was going to just run past him and just outflank him completely. But you could have run a post into this, right? If he had taken the post right here, there's a giant gap between the cornerback and the safety. There's going to be a lot of space. Let's see what was underneath it. And there's really nobody dropping in depth enough to go underneath it. So he probably had a lot of different options, but the curl is a great one. And he and Tua end up connecting on that. All right, if you've enjoyed this video, I want you to smash that like button. Please subscribe and leave comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I would love to make some videos for things that are requested. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Jerk Routes Football.